Part 180. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1791. Chapter 1791. This seems to be a joke. Qiao Angzhen saw Zhanbo actually helping Qiao Mian, and couldn't help cursing the vixen in her heart, but deep down, she was jealous that Qiao Mian had such a good relationship with the opposite sex. She didn't know what was wrong with these men. Why are the two of them helping Qiao Mian like this? What is so good about this little Qiao Mian? But any man who sees her feels like he has lost his soul. Can't they see that the little is just a green tea watch? With any man, there is always a flirtation. Or, do men like green tea like this? The little just has a foxy face. Other than that, isn't there anything else that's attractive about her? These men are too superficial. Just looking at the little bitch's face, do you fall in love with her? Is appearance really that important? Qiao Angzhen's eyes fell on Qiao Mian's exquisite porcelain white jade face again. Jealousy flashed deep in her eyes, and an idea flashed through her mind. If she also has a face as good looking as Qiao Mian, isn't it true that she can be like Qiao Mian and make many high-quality men like her? If she can become more beautiful than Qiao Mian, right, maybe Mo Yesi can also like her? If she could become Mo Yesi's woman, she would not be able to get anything she wanted in her life. If she could become Mo Yesi's woman. The more Qiao Angzhen thought about it, the more excited she became, and even a little excited. Across the way, Qiao Mian felt Qiao Angzhen looking at her. When she looked up, she saw Qiao Angzhen's eyes were bright and a little distracted, as if she was thinking about something, and the expression on her face looked a little excited. Qiao Mian. She didn't even bother to pay attention to Qiao Angzhen. Anyway, if Qiao Angzhen dared to fool around with her again, she would just teach him a lesson. In her eyes, Qiao Angzhen is just a clown now. If she can stay peaceful in the future, there will be nothing wrong between them. Although she can no longer be sisters with Qiao Angzhen, she will not deliberately target him. But if Qiao Angzhen is ignorant and insists on causing trouble with her, Qiao Mian decides that no matter what Qiao's father says, she will not let Qiao Angzhen off easily. The so-called affection can only be used once. Looking at Song Kei's obviously stiff face, Qiao Mian resisted the urge to laugh and sent a WeChat message to Zhanbo. Mian Buruanmen, handsome guy, thank you just now. On the way here, Zhanbo asked her for her WeChat ID, and Qiao Mian gave it to her. Zhanbo's WeChat nickname is, Loki Xiaozhan. Loki Xiaozhan, no big deal, we are CP teammates who swam through the canyon together. If anyone bullies my teammates, I must retaliate. In fact, I originally wanted to say that she gained 10 pounds, but I was afraid that it would be bad if she cried too much, so I restrained myself a little. Mian is not soft and cute, it's better to keep a thin line in being a human being. Loki Xiaozhan, yes, I think so too. The impact was too severe at once, so how to deal with it later? Let's take it slow. Mian Bukuimeng. She may have discovered that Zhanbo looks like a harmless and popular idol with a bit of arrogance on the surface. Privately, she felt that this was a joke, which was not at all consistent with his appearance and the side he showed to his fans. Asterisk. Possibly due to the depression caused by Zhanbo, Song Kei not only didn't take another bite of food after that, but he also didn't say another word during the whole process. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1792. Chapter 1792. Keep staring at her. Eat it in one meal. Qiao Mian was the one who treated her the least. She could eat whatever she wanted and was very full. Although Zhanbo and Shenfei were not on a diet, they did not dare to eat as much as they wanted, so they ate until they were 6 to 7 times full. After dinner, Shenfei suggested going for a walk in the town, just in time to relax and watch the Lantern Festival. Everyone has already agreed that Shenfei is the captain. Of course no one objects to her saying so. No one wants to go back too early. Although there is nothing interesting in the town, it is much better than going back to the village. On the first day, the 10 people were automatically divided into 2 small sects. Xiao Xiao, Jiao Angzhen, and Song Ke are from the same faction. Shenfei, Jiao Mian, and Zhan Bo are from the same school. The remaining people, Renjun, Han Yan, and Su Muofei, hold a neutral attitude, and their attitudes are similar to either side. A group of handsome men and beautiful women were wandering on the street, causing everyone passing by to look at them. I don't know if it's Jiao Mian's illusion. She always felt that there was a pair of eyes in the crowd that was always staring at her. And that look was not very kind. She could even feel evil in that look. But when she turned her head and looked into the crowd as she felt, that gaze seemed to disappear again. She frowned and looked into the crowd several times, but still didn't find anyone staring at her. She thought it might be her imagination. Soon, Jiao Mian was attracted by the various lanterns hanging on the street and stopped thinking about that matter. Others looked uninterested and were not very interested in such a lantern festival. Especially Jiao Angzhen, who is still wearing high heels. The streets were covered with cobblestones and walking was not that easy. After walking for a while, she complained that her feet hurt and wanted to stop and rest. Shenfei looked at the high-heeled shoes on her feet, which were at least 10 centimeters tall, and frowned. "You will definitely be tired when you walk out in high heels. Didn't you bring flat shoes when you came here this time?" "Bring it with me." Jiao Angzhen didn't have the nerve to say that she came out wearing high heels for the sake of beauty. She still looked aggrieved. "Sister Fei, am I holding everyone back? I thought before going out I needed to change my shoes, but I forgot." By the time I remembered, the car had already been driving for a while. I was embarrassed to say it again. "You can't continue walking like this." Of course Shenfei wouldn't believe such a lame excuse, but she couldn't say anything else. She looked around and then said, "There should be a place selling shoes on the street, just buy a pair of clothes first. Just wait for me here while I look for them." "Sister Fei, how can you be so embarrassed?" Jiao Angzhen looked sorry. Shenfei certainly didn't want to go. Jiao Angzhen is doing this because of his own fault. But she is the oldest in the group, and she is also the senior, so she wants to take more care of her juniors. He couldn't instruct others to go, so he had to go himself. "Sister Shen, I'd better go." Seeing that Shenfei was going to buy shoes for Jiao Angzhen, Jiao Mian stood up and said, "I just saw a shoe store not far from here. I'll go buy it." Shenfei was stunned for a moment and looked at her hesitantly. "Are you going?" "Well, I'll go after." Jiao Mian finished speaking. She turned around and said, "Just wait for me for a few minutes. I'll be back soon." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1793. Chapter 1793. Are you a stalker? Asterisk. Jiao Mian finished buying shoes for Jiao Angzhen and walked back with the bag. After walking for a while, she paused and her expression changed slightly. She felt someone was following her. This feeling was the same as when she felt someone in the crowd was staring at her just now. If Jiao Mian thought it was her illusion before and didn't take it seriously, then after she felt that she was being followed, she was sure that it was not her illusion before. But someone is really staring at her. That person and the person following her now may be the same person. Although there were still some people on the street at this moment, and the place where Jiao Mian was walking was not very remote, She still felt a little panicked when she noticed that someone was following her. She couldn't help but quicken her pace. The footsteps behind him also quickened their pace. Xiao Mian walked for a few minutes. When she felt that the person behind her was still following her, she hesitated, then turned and walked towards the other side of the street. After walking to the opposite side, she was about to turn around to see if anyone was following her, when suddenly, a hand grabbed her. Ah, Xiao Mian screamed in fright when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Don't be afraid, it's me." Xiao Mian was stunned for a moment, then turned her head. When she saw the person standing behind her, her eyes widened in surprise. "Gong Zili, why is it you?" "Follow me." Gong Zili didn't explain much, but took her hand and took her aside. And Xiao Mian was so surprised that she even forgot to break away from his hand, and was taken into a tea house by him. When she walked into the store, Gong Zili let go of her arm. Xiao Mian stared blankly at the handsome man in front of her. After a few seconds, anger filled her face, and she cursed angrily. "Gong Zili, is there something wrong with you? Are you a stalker? You are where I am. Why are you following me silently at night? Are you a pervert?" This was the first time Xiao Mian was so rude to him and scolded him so directly. Because she was really scared just now. "My heart is beating fast." She really thought she was being followed by some bad guy. Unexpectedly, the person following her was actually Gong Zili. Thinking that she had been frightened all the way, especially the moment he suddenly caught her, she was so frightened that she broke into a cold sweat. Her anger rekindled, and she was so angry that she continued to curse at him. "What is the purpose of following me all the way? Don't tell me about chance encounters. There are not so many coincidences in the world." Xiao Mian couldn't bear it anymore. Although she didn't know what Gong Zili wanted to do, his behavior had already caused trouble to her. She decided to ask clearly today. Gong Zili didn't even say a word before she scolded her like a dog. He was stunned for several seconds, his narrow eyes narrowed, and he saw her face turned red with anger. Then he frowned and said, "I wasn't following you just now." "How can Xiao Mian believe it?" she said with a stern face. "It's not you. Who else could it be?" "I don't know him either." Gong Zili was scolded by her, but he still explained in a good-tempered manner, "I came here to do some business, and several friends made an appointment here. I was upstairs just now, and I saw yours sometimes. There is someone behind you. I was afraid that he would be bad for you, so I came down here." Xiao Mian was stunned and looked at him again. He didn't look like he was lying. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1794. Chapter 1794. This person is simply inexplicable. Moreover, she felt that a person with Gong Zili's character would not bother to tell such a lie. Cold sweat broke out on her back again. "Did you see someone following me? Who was it?" "A man, in his 40s, not very tall, with an ordinary appearance, the kind of person who is easily forgotten at a glance. After you walked to the opposite street, he probably knew that you found her and left." Xiao Mian's face changed. "Maybe it's a resident here," Gong Zili analyzed. "Looking at you, a pretty little girl, walking alone on the street, you might have some evil intentions. It's so late at night, you're running alone. What are you doing here?" Gong Zili frowned, as if he was dissatisfied with her behavior. "Don't you know, this is dangerous. She has no idea about her appearance. Looking so arrogant, he wanders the streets alone at night. Still in a small town like this." Gong Zili actually didn't lie to her. He and her did meet by chance this time. He did come here to do something, but he didn't expect to meet her again here. He casually glanced out the window, and then he saw her. When he saw her, there was a man following her. The man looked so sneaky that he could tell he was following her. He was so frightened that he didn't even bother to say a word, and immediately came down to find her. Thinking of the danger she faced just now, Gongzili's face could not help but darken, and his tone became more serious. Do you know how dangerous it is to encounter such a thing? In a strange place, you are a weak woman. If someone does, do you know how terrible the consequences will be? Because he was worried and anxious, his voice sounded a little fierce, as if he was blaming her. Chiao Mian frowned slightly. She was yelled at for no reason. Her tone was not very good. Gongzili, why are you yelling at me? Even if I really encounter any danger, what does this have to do with you? Also, I didn't come alone, I came with the rest of the crew. I'm not stupid, how could I come here alone at night? She felt that this person was simply incomprehensible. Is she familiar with him? What is their relationship? Gongzili was startled, looking at her as if she was a little angry. He frowned, narrowed his narrow phoenix eyes, and said in a low voice, Chiao Mian, I'm not yelling at you. You're right, it's true. It has nothing to do with me, but she is the one he likes. He cares about her, so how could he not worry about her? When he saw that she was being followed, his heart tightened. He was afraid that she would be hurt, so he ran all the way down. The moment he saw that she was safe and sound, he breathed a sigh of relief. He has never been so worried about anyone. But she really seemed to have a hold on his heart. He couldn't help but pay attention to her every move. Chiao Mian looked at him with a stern face, waiting for almost a minute for him to say, but what? Gongzili pursed his thin lips with indifference, and the light in his narrow phoenix eyes flickered slightly. When he met Chiao Mian's dark eyes, he ducked his eyes and said, it's nothing, your business is as it should be, it has nothing to do with me. It's just that you are a CI's woman. I can't just watch you being in danger and pretend not to see it. What will a CI think if he finds out? He finally thought of a very suitable reason for himself. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1795. Chapter 1795. I think we may not be friends anymore. Really, Chiao Mian still had a sullen face and didn't give him a good look. Then as you can see now, I'm fine. Mr. Gong, since you are here to talk to people, you must be very busy. My companion, you are still waiting for me, so let's not waste each other's time. I'm leaving first, goodbye. Although the reasons given by Gongzili seemed to be very reasonable. But Chiao Mian no longer believed him very much. Ever since she realized that Gongzili might have thoughts about her, Chiao Mian no longer wanted to have any contact with him. As soon as she saw him, she just wanted to avoid him. After she finished speaking, she turned around and prepared to leave. Chiao Mian behind him, Gongzili's face suddenly turned gloomy, and his narrow and feminine eyes also had a bit of venom in them, and he said coldly, are you avoiding me? I did something wrong. What makes you avoid me as soon as you see me? I admit that I made mistakes before and had many misunderstandings about you. But I have changed now. Do you still want to treat me like an enemy? Can't we be friends? Chiao Mian stopped. You weren't like this before, so why are you suddenly so cold and distant to me? If there's something I didn't do well that made you unhappy, you can tell me. Okay, Chiao Mian didn't want to say something too directly. She turned around, thought about it, and said in a calm voice, do you want to know why? Okay, I'll tell you. Gongzili, actually there's nothing that makes me angry anymore, and I'm not still angry with you because of those things in the past. It's just that I think we may not be friends anymore. Why? Gongzili's face stiffened. Because many of your actions have indeed caused trouble to me and my husband. I don't want Moyesi to see any scandals between you and me anymore, so I think it's better for us to be as we were before. Also, I don't want to have any chance encounters with you in the future. I think it shouldn't be difficult to do this, what do you think? After saying this, Chiao Mian turned around and left without looking at him again. Behind him, Gong Zili's eyes were gloomy and his expression was extremely ugly. At this time, the people who were with him upstairs came down, looked at his face, were startled, and asked cautiously, "Young Master Gong, Mr. Wu and the others asked you when you will go back." Gong Zili looked at the direction Chiao Mian left, like a squatting still statue, motionless and without any words. The person next to him hesitated for a moment, then shouted again, "Young Master Gong." Roll. Miyazawa turned his head, his face was gloomy and scary, his eyes were as if he wanted to eat someone. He was so frightened that the people around him didn't dare to say another word, and immediately turned around and left. Asterisk. When Chiao Mian went back, Jean Bo asked her, "Chiao Mian, didn't you say that the store is not far across the way? Why did you go there for so long?" "I also bought some other things." Chiao Mian did not tell her about her encounter with Gong Zili. "Heh, so many of us are waiting for you, but you're still strolling around," Song Ke said with a dissatisfied look on his face. "Isn't our time just time?" Chiao Mian glanced at her, said nothing, and handed the bag in her hand to Chiao Angzan. Chiao Angzan took it with a stiff expression, opened it and looked at it, and his face suddenly showed a bit of dissatisfaction. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1796. Chapter 1796. Do you like to wear it or not? She held the shoes and muttered, "These shoes are too ugly. There are all these shoes in the store, do you like to wear them?" Hearing her muttering, Chiao Mian gave her a cold look. "Don't worry, it's great to be able to buy shoes here. You can put them on quickly. It doesn't matter whether they are good or not, just that they are comfortable." Shen Fei checked the time on her phone and then said, "It's getting late, I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'd better go back early and have a good sleep. I think you don't want to go shopping anymore." Everyone's face looked a little tired. "Obviously, I am not interested in continuing shopping. After all, I took a flight for several hours and came here right after packing my things without even taking a good rest." Looking at a group of people waiting for her, Chiao Angzan could only change into them even though she was not satisfied with the shoes Chiao Mian bought. Asterisk. Half an hour later, the group returned to their residence in the village. Zhao Yuan came over and informed them, "Gather in the courtyard at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I will send you the task list for the day. By the way, we will not provide breakfast, you need to make it yourself. The kitchen in the courtyard, there is rice, flour, grain, and oil in it, and there are vegetables in the vegetable field. You can make whatever you want to eat. Remember, meet on time at 8 o'clock. Don't lie down in bed then, you will be punished for being late. You go to bed early tonight and get up early to prepare tomorrow." Also, Chiao Angzan Zhao Yuan frowned and said, "Before you come to participate in the show, you should understand the mechanism of our program. Artists participating in the show have to complete everything by themselves. What you brought, that person can't stay here. Everyone has complied with the rules, please don't break the rules." Chiao Angzan's face stiffened when her name was called. She could see that Zhao Yuan seemed a little dissatisfied, and immediately nodded and said, "Brother Zhao, don't worry, she will leave early tomorrow morning. She will not stay here." "That's good, I'm going back, you guys should have a rest early." After Zhao Yuan finished explaining, he left. The rest of the people also went back to their houses. As soon as Chiao Mian entered the house, she received a WeChat video sent to her by Mo Yesi. She closed the door and answered the video. A handsome and noble man appeared on the screen. Chiao Mian changed into slippers and walked to the bathroom to get a basin of water. Just came back. Mo Yesi knew that she went to town with Shenfei and the others at night. Yet Chiao Mian nodded. She saw that Mo Yesi seemed to be still in the office in the video. She frowned and asked, "Are you still working overtime and haven't gone back?" "Well, I'm still working overtime." "Are you busy? Have you had dinner?" The man pulled off the collar of his shirt, leaned back, reached out and pinched his eyebrows. "Eat a little, I'm almost done." Hearing what he said, Chiao Mian knew that he must have missed dinner. She frowned. "Why don't you eat on time? You are so prone to stomach problems, so you only have so little time to eat?" In the video, the man's thin lips were slightly raised, and a doting smile overflowed from his deep eyes. "Okay, listen to me, honey. I won't do this again." Chiao Mian snorted and smiled. "You'd better keep your word." "How was it? What did you eat tonight? Is the place you went to fun?" Mo Yesi asked. Chiao Mian answered them all one by one. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1797. Chapter 1797. What is her attitude? Thinking about it for a while, she didn't tell Mo Yesi about her being followed and meeting Gong Zili. She felt that if she told him, Mo Yesi would definitely be worried about her. On the other hand, if he knew that Gong Zili was also in Ningcheng, he would definitely feel unhappy. The two chatted for more than 10 minutes. Chiao Mian saw that there were still some unfinished documents piled on his desk, so she took the initiative to end the chat. After hanging up the phone, her face darkened slightly when she thought of the person who followed her today. She just hoped that the person was following her on a temporary basis, rather than another possibility. Chiao Mian held her phone and thought for a while, still feeling a little uneasy. She was in a daze for a while, and when she was about to put down her phone and go wash up, she suddenly heard a scream. In the quiet night, this scream sounded particularly sharp and harsh. Just by hearing the scream, Chiao Mian knew who the screamer was. After a while, there was movement in the yard. Chiao Mian walked to the door, opened the door and looked into the yard, and then saw Chiao Angzhen running out from the side of the yard with a look of horror on her face. Others heard her scream and came out of the house. "What's wrong?" Shenfei looked at her frightened face and asked quickly, "What happened?" "Pig." Chiao Angzhen was so frightened that she was a little incoherent. I just went to the toilet and saw pigs over there. Lots of pigs, big pigs. As soon as I went over, they were all barking there. It was so scary." She patted her chest as she spoke. "Pig." Song Ke and Xiao Xiao's expressions changed. "Are there any pigs in the toilet?" Yes, Chiao Angzhen was still shocked. "Moreover, there is no toilet in the toilet." Xiao Xiao and Song Ke were getting ready to go to the toilet when they heard that there was a pig inside, and they were a little frightened. This group of people has lived in big cities since childhood, and there is no chance of seeing any live pigs. That's why Chiao Angzhen was scared just now. She said with an ugly face, "How can a place like that be used? Isn't there a better place?" After hearing what they said, Shenfei turned to look at Chiao Mian. "The only better place is Chiao Mian's private bathroom." When Shenfei looked at Chiao Mian, Xiao Xiao and Song Ke also looked at Chiao Mian. Because they all knew that there was a bathroom in Chiao Mian's room. No matter how bad it is still much better than the place where pigs are raised. "Chiao Mian, your room has its own bathroom, right?" Whenever Song Ke and Xiao Xiao dared to go to the bathroom over there, they both looked at Chiao Mian. "The bathroom in your room should be usable." Chiao Mian saw their plan. She smiled faintly, and then said lightly, "Well, there is a bathroom in my room." Song K had a look of relief on his face. Just when he was about to speak, he saw Xiao Mian covering her lips and yawning, but I don't have the habit of sharing with others. I'm sleepy and have to go to bed. Please wait. Chat slowly. After she finished speaking, she turned around and returned to the house. Before Song Ke, Xiao Xiao and the others could speak again, they closed the door directly. Just kidding, even if she didn't mind others coming to use the bathroom in her room, she wouldn't let Song Ke and Xiao Angzhen use it. Outside the door, Song Ke's face suddenly turned dark. She was dissatisfied. What's her attitude? Are we not allowed to use it? She's not used to sharing it with others, but this is not her own bathroom, so why doesn't she allow us to use it? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1798. Chapter 1798. Did she give you any benefits? Xiao Xiao pursed her lips and said nothing. She also saw Shenfei going to Jiao Mianmian's place to borrow the bathroom this afternoon. Jiao Mianmian was not used to sharing with others, so she clearly refused to let them use it. She didn't look too good, although the room was allocated to her, it should be possible to borrow her bathroom. And Xin also said just now that the other bathroom cannot be used at all. So what should we do? Xiao Angzhen was even more anxious. She went to the toilet because she had a stomachache. Now I don't dare to go again, but my stomach is getting more and more uncomfortable. Her face turned a little red. I think you should overcome it. The conditions in rural areas are like this. Do you still expect to be the same as in cities? There is a bathroom in Jiao Mianmian's room, but it does not mean that everyone can use it. The room was assigned to her, that is her. If everyone goes to her place to borrow the bathroom, does she have any personal space? Since she says she's not used to it, you should stop causing trouble to others. Zhanbo put his hands in his pockets and looked at several people and said. Song could see that Zanbo was helping Xiao Mian again, and couldn't help but said angrily, Zanbo, what do you mean? Do you think we are wrong? We are all in the same team, and borrowing the bathroom is just a small thing, right? There will be no impact or loss on her. Why did we end up causing trouble for her? Zhanbo, I noticed that you always speak for Xiao Mian. Has she given you any benefits? You are so good to her. Song Ke was overwhelmed by jealousy and said what he shouldn't have said on impulse. Speak out. Seeing Zhanbo's face darken, his expression turned cold. I'm not helping others. If you are reasonable, I will help you too. The room belongs to Xiao Mian. If she is willing to let you use the bathroom, you can use it. If she is not willing, you have no right to blame her. Since you have come to participate in this program, you should know what the conditions are like here. Now that you are here to dislike the East and the West, what did you do earlier? If you are not used to the life here, you might as well go back early. Zhanbo's words were not polite at all. Song Ke's face suddenly stiffened. The expression on Xiao Xiao's face also stiffened. What Xiao Zhan said is actually right. That room is Mian. If you want to use the bathroom in her room, you must get her permission. If she doesn't want to, then forget it. Shenfei looked at the group of people. I sighed secretly and advised, if you are afraid, I can accompany you. The pig is locked and can't get out, so just don't look at it. Shenfei has said this, what else can others say? Song Ke bit his lip and looked at the closed door of Xiao Mianmian's room, his teeth itching with hatred. Asterisk. Early the next morning, Xiao Mian woke up to the sound of the alarm clock. She got up an hour and a half early, washed herself quickly, and walked out of the room. The morning air in the countryside was very fresh. Xiao Mian stood on the steps, took a deep breath, spread her arms and stretched. Last night, she slept well. I didn't recognize the bed and slept till now. The civet cat nesting in the flower bed saw her, jumped down from the flower bed, walked to her feet, rubbed her legs and meowed. "Good morning, little kitten." Chiao Mian knelt down and touched the civet cat's head. "Why did you come to see me? Are you hungry? What do you usually eat?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1799. Chapter 1799. Does Miss Jiao often cook by herself? The civet cat meowed at her twice more, as if in response to her. "Are you hungry?" "I'm hungry too. I don't know what to eat yet." Jiao Mian petted the cat for a while, then stood up and walked towards the kitchen. She got up early. But the photographer got up earlier than she did. Seeing Jiao Mian get up, a photographer started taking pictures of her with a camera. Jiao Mian greeted people and then asked, "Brother Li, have you had breakfast?" The photographer shook his head. Jiao Mian went to the kitchen and searched around, finding some rice, noodles, and a basket of eggs. She thought for a while and said, "Brother Li, I'm going to make breakfast. Why don't you eat with me?" "How can this be so embarrassing?" The photographer shook his head and refused. "It's nothing, I have to do it anyway, just make a little more." Jiao Mian said with a smile, "But I will only make some simple ones, so you don't think it tastes bad." Such a beautiful little girl said that she wanted to cook for him. How could the photographer dislike it? "If you don't dislike it, then thank you, Miss Jiao. I'll go to the vegetable patch and see if I can get some side dishes to go with the porridge." The vegetable patch is in the yard. It is a very small vegetable garden. When she first arrived, Jiao Mian had seen it. Although the vegetable garden was small, there were many seasonal vegetables grown in it. She walked to the yard, looked around the vegetable garden, and picked a pumpkin and some green peppers and cabbages. After returning to the kitchen, the photographer asked, "Miss Jiao, what are you going to do?" Jiao Mian poured the vegetables she had just picked into the vegetable washing basin. While washing the vegetables, she said, "I just dug out some flour. I can make pumpkin pie later, and the remaining pumpkin can be used to make porridge. For green peppers, just make scrambled eggs with green peppers, and stir-fry cabbage with vinegar." The photographer saw that she was not very old, and her hands were white and tender. She looked like she had been raised in a pampered manner, and she did not look like she had been doing housework all the time. He couldn't help but ask, "Does Miss Jiao often cook by herself?" "Not really," Jiao Mian said truthfully, "I'm usually too lazy to cook by myself. I either eat out or take out, but I can make some simple home-cooked dishes." "There are not many girls who can cook nowadays," the photographer couldn't help but praise. "Especially for a beautiful girl like Jiao Mian, few can cook." In the last episode of the program, several female artists made a lot of jokes about cooking. For example, when washing noodles, you may use salt as message and message as sugar. For another example, when washing clothes by hand, pouring in half a bag of washing powder at a time will result in foam flying all over the air. Even ordinary families, because most of them have only children now, they have been pampered since childhood. So the photographer was really surprised to see that Jiao Mian could cook. "I can only do something simple." There was no one else at the moment, so Jiao Mian chatted with the photographer, "I just learned some basic life skills. It's already pretty good." After Jiao Mian cut the pumpkin, half was used to make porridge, and the other half was cut into strips and boiled in water. She found flour and mixed some dough to make pumpkin pie. More than half an hour passed. She has already cooked 2 vegetables, and the porridge in the pot is almost ready. The dishes she cooks are of large portions and are served in basins. I also made a big pot of porridge, enough to feed 8 or 9 people. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 1800. Chapter 1800. I really admire you. She found that there was a lot of kimchi in a jar in the kitchen, so she fished out some more kimchi and ate it with porridge in a while. When she was finishing the last pumpkin pie, she heard the voices of Jeanbo and Sumufii coming from outside the kitchen. Wow, is someone cooking in the kitchen? It smells so good. No, Brother Zhao didn't say that no one would cook for us, so we should cook it ourselves. You'll know after you go and see it. Soon, Jeanbo, Sumufii, and Ranjun walked into the kitchen. When they saw Xiao Mian with a bun and a spatula standing in front of the stove, several people's eyes widened in surprise. Jeanbo looked at the prepared dishes beside him and said in surprise, Xiao Mian, these, were you made by you? Xiao Mian put down the spatula and raised her fingers at him. Otherwise, can it still be done automatically? Have you all washed up? Help take these dishes out. I think it's enough to just have breakfast. Well, if you don't mind, then let's eat together. If you have other plans, just pretend I didn't tell you. No arrangements, no arrangements. Sumufii came over, he looked at the several dishes that had been prepared, swallowed his saliva and said, Xiao Mian, you are so awesome, you actually prepared breakfast. Can you actually cook? These dishes look delicious. Where did you get them? Xiao Mian smiled, isn't there a small vegetable garden in the yard? I went to pick some vegetables from the vegetable garden. These are original green foods, which are more delicious than the vegetables in the city. Sumufii gave her a thumbs up. You made this cake too, it looks delicious. What kind of cake is this? Pumpkin pie. You can also make pumpkin cakes. Sumufii looked like he admired her very much. Xiao Mian, you are so awesome, I really admire you. Sumufii thought to himself, how could there be such a good-looking young lady who could also cook well? She is simply his ideal partner. But he also knew that Xiao Mian had a boyfriend, so some thoughts just passed through his mind and never thought about it again. Xiao Mian. She was embarrassed to be praised by Sumufii. They are very simple dishes that most people can cook. I won't do what anyone says. Sumufii praised without hesitation. I know a lot of girls who can't do it either. Okay, don't just flatter me. Jeanbo stepped forward and patted Sumufii. Let's take these dishes out. Sister Fei and the others should be up too. Asterisk. A few people walked out with their meals. As soon as they were placed on the table, they saw Shenfei and Xiao walking over. Song Ke yawned and complained, the bed here is so hard, it's not comfortable to sleep at all. After sleeping all night, my back hurts. I didn't even sleep last night. Xiao also looked listless, with dark circles on his face. It was almost dawn and I fell asleep for a while, but the alarm clock rang again. Me too, Song Ke muttered dissatisfiedly, I can't sleep at all, I'm so sleepy. Xin, how about you? Xiao Angzhen walked with them, and they seemed to have a good relationship. They all knew that Xiao Angzhen and Xiao Mian were not on good terms. Xiao and Xiao Mian had their differences. End of this chapter.